Hey guys, it's me Ram here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing some 2x2 walkthrough solves featuring two special guests.
Hi, my name is Zayn Khanani. I've been cubing for about 3 years. Currently, I'm ranked 5th in the world in 2x2 with a 1.34 official average. I got 3rd at Worlds 2019. My current main is the Cosmic Vogue 2M, and I globally average about 1.3 seconds.
Guys, Aamir here, back with another video. If you didn't know, my name is Aamir Saifee. I currently have the national record for 2x2 average with an average of 1.47, which was also the former Asian record. And I also have a YouTube channel called Aamir Saifee, which is just my full name, with around 720 subscribers. So before I start with the walkthroughs, I know full EG, TCLL, and a few LEG1 cases. And yeah, I would also like to thank Ram for this opportunity.
Alright, so I'd like to give a huge thank you to Zayn Khanani and Aamir Saifee for joining me on this project. Okay, so here's the first scramble at the top of the screen now. So on this scramble, what I would probably do is 5 moves on yellow to the LOL EG1 case. So I would go ahead and do R prime and then insert this corner like this and then get this very easy EG1 case with a U prime AUF. Yep, that's it.
For the first scramble, the first things I noticed were on yellow, there's one move to this not that good TCLL case, and then on orange, there's 2 moves into a pretty good LEG one. I ended up not deciding to do either of those because I saw you could do one move into this pretty easy LS case. The setup isn't too great because you would have to do like F2, but because you next do a U2 prime for the case, I think it works pretty good. So from here, the solution I would do would just be F2, U2, R prime, F2, R2, U prime, R prime, F.
So for solve number 1, there's a bunch of stuff that I can see here. What I see first is there's a U prime R2 into an LEG that I know, which is actually a really good one, and that's probably what I would do, as this TCLL minus isn't that great. So I would just do U prime R2, U2, and then go into the algorithm. And I know my AUF is going to be a U. So essentially this piece, so it's a pure soon, so this piece is going to end up here, so I know it's going to be a U AUF. So I finger trick it like this, and then U AUF at the end, like I said.
Okay, so the second scramble is on the top of the screen now. So on this scramble, I would probably 2-look it if I were speed solving, but I see a pretty decent solution on blue. So it's just 4 moves like this into this nice anti-soon EG1.
This second scramble didn't have anything that I could find that was too great, but what I first saw was on red, you could do 3 moves into this not that good EG1 case, or you could do a 4-move face and get a PBL, but it wasn't too great. So eventually what I ended up noticing was on yellow, you can do 5 moves into this easy CLL case, but instead of doing the normal ALG, you can hold it here and do U prime, F prime, and then R prime, and then instead of just doing U prime R, you can do U2, hedge, UR, and then a U.
So here we have the second scramble, and this is a no bar scramble, it seems like. So what I would honestly do for this, doesn't seem to be much right now, but I can see one fairly decent thing, and that's basically this red layer. So I would hold it like this, I would do R2, F prime, R prime, except this, the EG1 that I have to do starts with an R, so it'll just be R2, F prime, and then directly into the case like that.
Alright, and the third scramble is on the top of the screen now. Okay, so on this scramble, I see 4 moves on blue to a pretty decent EG2. So what I would do is U, R, U prime, R2, and then U prime, and then do R2, B2, R2, which would lead me to F sexy F prime with a U2 AUF.
On this third scramble, I saw on orange you could do 5 moves and get this CLL case. I also looked on green and saw you could do 3 moves into this TEG1 case, which is actually a really bad case. And then what I would probably end up doing was on blue, you can do 4 moves into this EG2, but instead of just making the face, you could cancel into R2, B2, R2, and then you end up with this easy CLL.
So now on to the third scramble. This one looks pretty decent. Nothing too great so far from what I can see. Looking at the orange, nothing too great. Honestly, I would just go with blue for this. So I would do U, R, U prime, R2, and then this EG2 like this. So it's essentially R2, B2, R2, and then this algorithm, and U2, AUF.
So here's the fourth scramble at the top of the screen now. So on this scramble, I spot a really nice CLL case if you do 2 moves on red. However, you can actually cancel into it. So the first 2 moves, you can hold it from here and do R, F prime. And this CLL case starts with F, R prime. So what you can just do is F prime, R, U prime, and then just this, and then U2 insert and U prime AUF.
For this fourth scramble, I saw on white you could do 1 move into this easy LS case where you just cancel into the TCLL by holding it here. I also saw on red you could do 2 moves into this CLL case and you can cancel into it. And there wasn't really anything else that great other than those 2 solutions, so I just decided that I would do on white this LS solution by doing R, U2, R, U prime, R prime, F, R, F prime, R, U, R prime, U, R prime.
So now on to the fourth scramble. For this one, there is actually pretty easy of a scramble. There's a 2-move red face like this, except that the algorithm that it cancels into starts with these 2 moves exactly. So all I would have to do is an F prime R, and then insert this pair like that, and it would be done.
Okay, so the fifth scramble is on the top of the screen now. So right off the bat, this looks like a pretty terrible scramble, but I see a pretty nice solution on yellow. You can just do R prime and then U2 and then insert this corner, and you're left with this very nice PBL case with no AUF.
On the fifth scramble, I saw on white you could do 6 moves into a pretty good EG1 case, but in this case it ends up not being too great. I also looked on yellow and saw that you could do 5 moves into an LEG1, which is the solution I think I would probably go with. I also saw you could insert a different way and get some different cases, but that wasn't really good in this case. And then the last thing I noticed was on red, you could do 2 moves and then you get this pretty good LS case, but the setup isn't too great, and in this case, I don't think I would do it. So eventually, I just decided that I would probably go with the solution on yellow by holding it here and doing F prime U, R prime, F prime, U2, R, U prime, R2, U, R prime, U, R prime, U prime.
So the fifth one looks pretty decent. Nothing too great, of course. Gotta look around a bit. I can see a half decent TCLL layer, but I don't think I would go with it, to be honest. It's this. Yeah, not the best. Instead, what I would probably do is it's a pretty bad scramble. I would do this to get this TCLL plus, which goes like this.
So here's the sixth scramble at the top of the screen now. So what I would do for this scramble might be a little bit inefficient at first. I would do 6 moves like this, but you would end up with pure soon with a U prime AUF. So U prime, soon, U prime.
On this 6th scramble, there were a few good options. I saw on yellow you could make a CLL layer and get soon, but you could also cancel into left soon, or you could hold it from the back and use a different algorithm. Instead of doing that, you could also make the layer differently, but you don't really get a good CLL case. I also looked on green and saw you could do 3 moves into this EG1 case, or you could do 5 moves and then get this T case, but neither of those were that good. So what I decided to go with was on orange, you can do 4 moves into this LEG1 case, and you can cancel into a 2-gen ELG by doing U, R2, U, R2, U prime, R, U2, R prime, U.
It looks pretty decent, to be honest. I think orange looks nice, and so does green. But to be honest, I would probably go with green though. I'm just looking at a few solutions. At first I thought of this solution, just the regular insert, which would be good, but I'm just trying to see if there's anything better. There's another green solution like that, which also could be decent, but can't find anything too great. There's an orange bar, but it leads to a pretty bad case, to be honest. So I'll probably just go with orange. I would do this and then instantly do a U2, so that adds flow, and then just do the algorithm and then do the last one like that.
So here's the 7th scramble at the top of the screen now. So on this scramble, I would most likely do orange, 4 moves like this into this very nice EG1 case, and a UAUF.
On the 7th scramble, I saw you could do 4 moves into this EG1 case, which I know a lot of algs for, and in this case, I think it would make most sense to do one that starts with like R, U, R prime, F prime, and then a U, and then you would just finish with a TCLL. But in this case, I wouldn't actually go with that. Instead, I would go with a solution I saw that was on red by... You could either do R prime, U prime, F prime, and get this EG1 case, or you could do U prime, R prime, F prime, and get this case. And then the angle I held it at was from here. I saw you could do F prime, U prime, R prime, and then get this case. And there's 2 main algs I know for this. One is where you have it at this angle and it starts with R, U prime, and then the other is doing U2 and like starting with sledge. So in this case, it definitely made sense to go with the one that starts with R, U prime, because then you could cancel by doing F prime, and then just finishing with U2, R prime, F, R, U prime, R2, F, R, U prime.
Pretty straightforward, to be honest. I would just insert the orange piece in the back like that, U, and then the EG1 like that. Nothing too special.
So here's the 8th scramble at the top of the screen now. So on this scramble, I would most likely do the obvious red face with R, U prime, R prime, and then be left with this pretty nice EG2 case.
For the 8th scramble, I see that on white you can do 4 moves into this EG1 case. I also notice on orange you can do 3 moves and then get this pretty nice EG1 case. You would just finish by doing a U prime and then the alg, and then you would have a U prime AUF. And then the thing that I think is probably the best is on red you can do 3 moves and then get this EG2 case, which normally isn't too great, but in this case it has no AUF, so I think it's really nice from the face solution. So you would just do something like R, U prime, R prime, F, U prime, R, U2, R, U prime, R prime, U, R prime, F prime.
Now for the 8th scramble, I can see a nice orange layer like that, and it leads to a nice EG1 case, but I'm just trying to see if there's anything better right now, and I don't think there is. There could be white, but no, it's not that great. So in this case, I would probably go with orange. I would just insert it in the back like that and instantly do a U prime and do that, the algorithm, and I would have a U prime AUF at the end, so I would just go like that.
So here's the 9th scramble at the top of the screen now. For this, I would do the obvious green face with L2 U prime L, and then be left with this pretty nice soon EG1 case.
On the 9th scramble, I saw you could do 4 moves and then get this nice CLL case, or you could do 3 moves and get this EG1 case. I also looked on red and saw that you could do 3 moves into a not that good EG1 case, or you could do 3 moves by doing R prime, F prime, R, and getting a really nice TCLL case, which is probably what I'd go with by just holding it here and doing R prime, F prime, R, U2, R prime, F prime, R, U2, R, U.
Now for the 9th one, once again, looks like a fairly self-explanatory scramble to me. What I would probably do for this is perhaps green or maybe red, but I would honestly go with red, because for green I would have to do a U prime, which would be awkward, whereas For red, I can just directly go into the algorithm. So I'll just do red like that. And then the algorithm. Just like that.
Here's the 10th scramble at the top of the screen now. So on this scramble, I would probably do 6 moves like this and get this really easy CLL case. But that's not where the story ends. On this scramble, I can actually use one of the few special tricks I know. So I know if I have this and then I have this sexy sledge right after, I can actually rotate and then do U2, R, U2, R prime, U. So for this solution overall, what I would do is U, F prime, U prime, and then R, U2, R prime, and finish with a U, A, U, F.
For the 10th scramble, I saw you could do F prime, R prime, F2, R, and then get this CLL case. And from knowing that, I know that if you insert with R prime, U2, R, U, R prime, you're going to get diag soon, which you could cancel into like a lefty alternate alg from here. But what I ended up noticing also was on blue, you can do a few moves into this CLL case, but instead of doing that, you could do it from here, and then you could kind of cancel into an LL skip. But instead of doing that, what I would probably go with is on green, you can do 3 moves into this EG1 case, and the first 3 moves are already done, so you can just do U, R prime, F prime, R, U2, R prime, U.
So here's the 11th scramble at the top of the screen now. So for this scramble, I would build the red layer with U, R prime, U, R prime, and then just do a U and then get sexy sledge with no AUF.
On the 11th scramble, I saw you could do 5 moves into this CLL case, or you could do 4 moves into a different CLL case. I also noticed that you could do 2 moves and then get this LS case, which isn't that good, or you could do 2 moves and get a TCLL case, but it's also not very good. So what I also ended up checking was on red, you can do 4 moves into this pretty easy CLL case, but instead of doing that, I ended up noticing that you could do blue by holding it here and doing R prime, F2, U prime, R, U, R prime, and getting this getting this EG1 case, and I could cancel into one of the algs I know. So when I had it here, I could just do R prime, F2, and then instead of doing U prime, R, U, R prime, I know an alg that starts with R, U prime, R prime, U2, so I could just finish it with U, R, U2, R prime, F, R, U prime, R prime, U.
There's a bunch of different solutions that I can see right now. Nothing too great. But there's one solution that I might go with, but let's see if there's any other good ones. Yeah, so what I would do for this is I would do U, insert red, and then U, and then this algorithm. So it would be like this.
Finally, here's the last scramble at the top of the screen now. So for this scramble, what I would do is R prime, U2, R prime to build my EG1 face, and then do a U, rotate this way, and then do this EG1 case with no AUF.
On the last scramble, I saw you could do 4 moves on green and get an EG2 case. I also looked on yellow and saw you could do 2 moves and then you get this LS case. Instead of doing that, you could do a different 2 moves and get a different LS case, which is probably better than the other one for this situation. And then what I ended up noticing was on blue, you could do 3 moves like this and get a not very good TCLL case, but the solution I'd probably end up going with is doing 4 moves by doing F, R, U prime, R, and then getting this nice TCLL case, so you could finish with U2, R, U2, R prime, U2, R, U, R prime, U prime.
So now for the last solve, looking around, I see a green layer, which could be a possibility. However, the case after that isn't the best. So, to be honest, nothing too great right now for this solve at all. Maybe I would do orange, so I would do it like this. I would put this down and then do that, and then U, and then the EG1 case and a U2. So not the best solution, but considering it was a pretty odd scramble, I'm not too sad with it. Anyways, thank you so much, Ram, for this opportunity. And to all of Ram's viewers, thank you so much for watching, and bye.
So that's about it for 2x2 walkthrough solves featuring Zayn, Khanani and Aamir, Saifee. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks a lot to them for participating. Goodbye.